Welcome in. I am Shavon Camper. I want to welcome you to Leveraging Your Reality, where this is a space where I am your partner in growth as you become a healthier you. Today, I want to take a moment to recalibrate. We are in summer season. Summer season is a very external, extroverted season, and we spend a lot of time outwardly. The last month or so, my outward has definitely turned inward. And I put a lot of thought into what do I want to use this platform for? As a coach, one of the things that they say is like you have to be on social media. You have to be on social media. And for years, I have not been on social media. Like I just didn't want to be out telling people, talking about myself. And one of the things that I hear so often from clients is I thought it was just me. We go around too often believing that we are the only one, dot, dot, dot. And to know that we're not the only one is just such a powerful place to be because we move from isolation into community. And I want to take some time today first to tell you a little bit more about my personal story because as a coach, I think it's such an interesting industry to be in because you you do the work, right? You help people, you serve people, and you really get into the inner workings of other people's lives. And there's a difference between doing the work and living the work. And the coaches that are courageous and brave enough to live the work, they are on a journey right alongside their clients. And when I originally started this channel, I thought that I was going to use it for, oh, let me give people some content. They want some content, they want some tips. But I think much deeper than the content and the tips, I think we want relatability. We want to know that I am not in this alone. And that's what I'm going to do. And for me, this is extremely vulnerable because I saw you keep your personal stuff in the house. And I want to really be clear on as I come in and I share me living the work. It's also about you continuing to live the work and having that reminder that you are not in this alone, that everyone goes through the ups and downs of life. And before I tell you what the focus of the channel is really going to be about, it ties into a story. When this is a few years ago, it may have been right at the start of COVID or somewhere around there. I was like, oh my goodness, like I really need to get this business together. So I hired this marketing company to help me get my business together. And one of the questions they asked me was, okay, what type of coach are you? What do you do? And I was like, oh, I help people with the relationship with themselves and really making that relationship healthier. And they quite frankly and quickly told me that will not sell. People don't buy for themselves, they really buy for others. So you need to figure out how you need to change what you market so that we can tap into people's their heart, their emotions as they buy. And typically they just don't do that for themselves. And in the last month or so, it's been about a month and a half, I've come to the realization that I allowed that marketing company to silence me. And I have spent the last several years trying to figure out how to say what I do without saying what I do. And I had a client say something to me that was real. She was like, "Shavon, I've worked with you. Like I've really worked with you. And when I look at your website and everything," she was like, "It's good." She was like, "I'm not gonna lie, like, it's good. But I know you and I know it's also muted. Like that is not you." And I was like, "Oh, straight to me, huh? Okay." And she was right. Like she is right. I muted myself and her giving me this really honest feedback helped me to figure out like where did this come from? When exactly did I decide to mute myself? And it was that moment with that marketing company. I was so committed to, oh my goodness, I need to make sure I'm doing all the right things in business because I want to have a successful business. I really want to be able to help people that I completely let go of my intuition, my connection, like where God was taking me, and turn that into, but it won't work in business. Let me change it. And I really want to take some time just to really reintroduce myself. I am Shavon, and I am a coach that focuses in working with people in oftentimes the longest abusive relationship that they've been in. And it's the one with themselves. And the work that I do is not for everybody. Let me just start right there. This is hard work to come into yourself, to show up for a coaching session, knowing that it's not about your spouse, it's not about your kids, it's not about your job, it's not about your community. Like, to have the courage to truly focus on you being in relationship with you. And it's an interesting concept because we are not taught that we are in relationship with ourselves. It is a relationship. Just like you're in relationship with a friend, you are also in relationship with you. And not seeing ourselves as being in relationship with ourselves naturally has us neglect the one relationship we are in for the entirety of our lives. But whether my clients come to me for many different reasons, whether it's business, whether it's marriage, whether it's career, whether it's parenting, deep down at the core of what I'm working with them on is the relationship with themselves, recognizing that they're in one and then working to grow for it to be a healthier relationship. We are so accustomed to today for accustomed to change from the outside in. If I get that new home, if I get that new car, if I get that new job, if I just win over this contract, if my kids would just act right, then I will be okay on the inside. So we have really given up all of our power to these outside things in order to get into inner alignment. A lot of people are referring to it as happiness. And I don't like for us to strive for emotional states, because emotions are meant to fluctuate. Like they come and they go. That's just the way they are. And if we are aspiring for an emotional state, then we're going to be without that state sometimes. And then if we're without that state, then there could be a belief that I'm not doing something right, I'm failing, something's wrong. Happiness is not meant to be sustained for the entirety of your life. Like, you will have happy moments. They may even be happy seasons, but believing that you are going to maintain a state of happiness and that determines whether you're being successful in life is just a unrealistic expectation for anyone to set for themselves. And I just think back to all those years ago, like just really being naive, not knowing any better, and most importantly, not trusting myself. I didn't have a thorough enough relationship with myself to trust that I was on a path that was different. Like, what I did in coaching was a bit different than what I heard some of my peers doing, but different doesn't mean insignificant or just not ready to come out into the world. I just a few years ago, like, so much was about sameness. And in our society today, that's one of the the catches to our world, is that so many people are trying to be the same. And if we're trying to be like the next person, we really miss the opportunity to live our most authentic self, to bring what we have to bring into the world and society. So, to that marketing company, I will allow them to remain nameless. You told me wrong. And it wasn't your fault that you told me wrong. It was my fault that I chose to listen. And that's real, that people in authority figures in our lives, whether it is a teacher, a police officer, a leader, they can impart something in us, and then we go trying to convince ourselves that that's true. That marketing company told me that working on people, like, people wouldn't buy for themselves, they may buy for other people what they wouldn't buy for themselves. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm to a place where I'm like, well, I want to find out. let's see what happens when I do push this out, when I do walk into what has been given to me. And I'd rather at the end of the day fail because I tried something that really resonated with me than to fail at trying to do what you told me to do that I knew didn't resonate with me from the beginning. And I think that's this journey of life, is that there is going to be failure. I could be wrong. I really could be wrong. And if I find out I'm wrong some months or some years down the line, you know what? I will make some adjustments. But right now, I don't even know if I'm wrong. And that is going to stick with me for years to come, to wonder, well, I wonder if I would have just went with it, what would have happened? Oh, I want to find out what would have happened if I would have. I want to live it and find out what's going to happen. And I think this is a big part of just who I am as a person, is I wonder a lot of things. I truly wonder. And this is one of the things that ended up had me coming into business. I'll keep this moment in mind where I was working at a job, and my supervisor said, "Oh, we hired someone to do this training. They're really good." And I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." She was like, "Yeah, but it was expensive." I was like, "Oh, what does expensive mean? Like, how much is expensive?" That woman said my salary for the month. Right there in that moment, I started wondering. My wonder wasn't a full thought yet, but one thing I knew was this guy figured out how to do something I never even heard of. He figured out how to get my salary in a day, and it took me the whole month to do it. Like, my brain started twirling from that moment. I went home to my husband like, "Oh, this guy did it in one day. I take all these days. Something's all like he knows something I don't know." And even though I didn't have the answer of what I was truly wondering yet, what it did was it opened up a portal in my mind of how people earn money. So I put my hand up and asked, "Hey, can I go watch him?" Because I now needed to see what it looked like to make my salary in a day. I just had never seen anything like that before. And going to watch him, he was good. Oh my goodness, he was so good. But in my head, I was like, I could do that. I could say that. I could do that. I could do this. And I think what I was really getting down to is that start of questioning how we earn money. It would take a few more years for me to get to a place of wondering, does it have to take me 40 hours to earn my full-time salary? It was like there are these seeds that are planted. Moments plant them in us, experiences plant them in us. We plant them in ourselves. And in those moments, it is a seed planted, and I think it's watered. And it's watered. Life waters it. We water it. Things keep happening that water it. Mine was being watered big time. And several years later, I remember just wondering, first, who created the 40-hour work week? Like, I just had to know. I'm like, because the 40 hours was in the way of me living a life that was more in alignment for me. I'm not against 9 to 5 structure. I think it is a structure that works for many people. And I think there are some things that we need to put into question. First, 9 to 5, 40 hours. Henry Ford was a big push in that. The unions were working on it way back. It was over a century ago. They were working on more fair labor practices. And back in that time, during the factory times, industrial times, they were working 12 plus 15-hour days in the factory. And Henry Ford and his team came together. They did some studies, and what they realized is that after 8 hours, the body becomes ineffective to keep producing at the rate they need to produce. And if they swapped out the shift and created let a whole new set of people in, productivity rates would increase. And I remember when I had this moment of, so in 100 years, we haven't figured out how to do it differently yet. Like, it just blew my mind. And I was like, hold on. Okay. Okay. This pause. Self. 100 years. We haven't figured out how to do this differently. And I think one of the things that really like boggled my mind was that technology had soared in ways that were revolutionary. Like we had the internet, we have Google, we had so many things back then that sped up the work process. And it shouldn't take us the same amount of time to do our jobs that it took us 100 years ago to do the job. And I just got curious, really, really curious. And that I remember that day I had just got let go from a contract and I was doing my coaching business on the side and I wondered, do I actually have to work 40 hours to earn that salary that I just lost? And I spent the next year in experimentation mode. So I wouldn't work over 30 hours a week. I'm like 30 or less. That's what it is. I just want to see what this kicks out. 30 or less. All the bills got paid. Everything, the kids got to eat. We got to eat. We maintained our home. And at the end of that year, when I went past my numbers, something interesting happened. I made the most money of my career. I was at a salary for my full-time job. I went 20 plus $1,000 over that. And I was confused because the messages that I have been told is that one, you need to get a good job. And a good job means it's full time, and full time means 40 hours. I have been told that. And the other thing that I have been told is that the harder you work, the more money you make. But I had decreased my hours by 10 hours a week and I made more money. Do you see how this would frazzle my system? Like my system was completely just turned over in that moment because I had a new reality right next to me that was live. Like I lived it. So I couldn't go on believing this one other reality. I couldn't just believe it because I had another reality that presented something different. And that was a turning moment for me, like a real turning moment of the importance of learning and exposing yourself and the importance of wondering and the importance of taking risks. Like it was a risk for me not to go get another 9 to 5 job and like, all right, let me figure out how to do this. It was ugly. Let me be very clear. It was so ugly. It was not even funny. But it pushed me. I would not recommend people leave their 9 to 5. I actually didn't leave mine. I got let go from it. So it's a little bit of a different story. But it was a risk. And I think that the two risks that were on the table is I either have the risk of living this automated life that requires me just to wake up, get the kids ready, take them to school, take myself to work, come home, cook, get the kids ready to go to bed and put them to bed and then put myself to bed. Or I was going to take this risk of challenging what was the truth that I had been given. And that was one of those moments where I said to myself, so people out here just making stuff up. Because this 40-hour work week, that's made up. A lot of people believed in it, so much so that 100 years later, that is still the primary way of working. And I said to myself, since they making stuff up, we're gonna make up a couple things while we at it. We're just gonna test this out and see if it works. And the thing was, I wasn't trying to get it to work for everybody. I was just trying to get a couple hours back so I could spend some quality time with my kids, so I could go to the gym and work out, so I can like cook at a slower pace, so I could just do like really be in my life versus just checklist, next. And I think like this is the culmination of me getting to a place of what do I do in my business? I help people to leverage their reality. It's not just what I do in my business, it's also what I live in my life. There are many times where I'm like, okay, here's the situation. What is the output I'm trying to get? And how do I make that output happen? Like, how is this even going to happen? And oftentimes I don't actually know how it's going to happen in the beginning. I just get into the let's figure it out. Let's see. Let's move this around. Let's try this. And it takes a whole lot of failure. Like when you don't know and you're not being mentored and you try to figure everything out on your own, like coming into business, I didn't have anybody guiding me. I was literally, well, let me take that back. Google was guiding me, people. Like I was hardcore Googling how to do things. Man, if I had Chat GPT, that joint would have been over. But one day I started my business. I was I was in my coaching program and we had an assignment like to like start our LLC. I didn't have anybody to go to ask how to start an LLC. I didn't even know like S Corp LLC. I didn't know any of this stuff. I just went to Google and I was like, how to start a business. They were like, choose between these three. I was like, I don't know. That one sounds good. Let's go with that one. And I'm literally Googling my way through it. So when people are like, how did you start your business? I'm like, I sat down at the computer and said, I'm not getting up until I have a business. And I remember when I finally like did the final set of paperwork that was requested, I was like, that's it? Like, do I have a business? I don't know I have a business. Like, how do I know this is real? Did that really? I don't know. So my next test was, okay, we did all this paperwork they said we have to do. I don't know that if it's that easy to get a business or not. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we gotta actually find out if we have a business. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the bank. And when I go to the bank, if they don't give me an account, I know I don't have a business and I missed a step somewhere and Google led me wrong. And if I get an account, I have a business. So I went to the bank that week. I don't know if it was that week, but next I went to the bank and I gave them all my paperwork. And the lady was like, oh, did someone help you start your business? I was like, no. And she was like, wow, you did all this yourself? I was like, yes. And she was like, you did a really good job. Like people pay for this and they still come in with mistakes, but you have everything we need here to get you a bank account set up. And I was like, oh, shoot, I think I have a business. I laughed because I really just did not know what the heck I was doing. And I had a business. They gave me a bank account, and I was like, oh, shoot, I have a bank account. It only has about $25 in it because that's what it's. I was gonna get more money in it, but I had a business and I had a bank account. Figure out how to make my salary in a month. Like that's what I was trying to in a day. In a like month day. Like I was like, gosh, this guy's I'm over here adding this guy's multiplying. That is like the story of me going into business. I did not know what I was doing. I didn't have anybody guiding me, and I was guessing like kept leading me to the next thing, to the next thing. I'm wondering, and the more I wondered, the more the next step showed itself. And I think that's been a really big growth opportunity for me in my 20s. I started my business in my 20s. And in my 20s, like I was grinding, like just trying to make things happen, going one step at a time. Like I lived in New York. I grew up in New York and I lived in Jersey for a little while. And like being working in Manhattan, like it's a like go, hustle, go now, fast, catch a train, move. And everything is go, faster and faster. And I remember where I got to a point where speed, which had worked for me for so long, was beginning to work against me. And I needed to slow down. It was such a difficult concept for me to figure out how to slow down. But I had this piece of, but I worked 10 less hours a week and made more money. So is all this speed necessary all the time? And I'm not saying like go fast, go slow. It's more of go at the speed that's appropriate for the situation. I too often we're in that autopilot. I'm a go person or I'm a slow mover. But it's more of like, what does the situation require me to be? And being what was necessary in that situation. There are times where we need to move a little bit faster. And there are times where we need to move a little bit slower. What I found in my own experience is that I had to teach myself so many things because I had been groomed to live a pretty fast paced life. And I didn't know what a slower paced life meant. I didn't know what slower paced activities were. And I had to learn all of this along the way. And oh gosh, like to to actually sit back and talk about it. It's just so many pieces that led to where I am now, and I'm pretty sure there are more pieces that are gonna lead to where I'm heading. But that moment with the marketing company and it felt so insignificant in that moment. I was just like, okay, well, I just need to choose a focus. Like, is it going to be leadership coaching? Is it going to be relationship coaching? Is it going to be more generalized life coaching? Like, what is it that we're going? Mental wellness coaching? Where are we going? I'm like, all right, let's just choose a path. That moment seemed so insignificant when it happened. But now that I fast forward years later, it was a moment where I abandoned myself. And so often we are worried about what other people will do to us in all of the external relationships. And we don't really think about what we're doing to ourselves. Like, yeah, negative self talk is a real thing. Like, that's not healthy. But before we get to negative self talk, there are so many other things that happen before we get to that level of verbal abuse with ourselves. And self abandonment is one of them. I'm pretty sure that was not the first time that I abandoned myself. Uh, it was a time like now where I play it back where I'm like, whoa, that was significant. Because for the next several years of business, I was floundering trying to figure out what am I saying? What is it? What exactly do I sell? How do I market? How do I advertise? I was even okay with people making decisions. What colors do you want? I don't know. Like choose some. Like that's how much it didn't matter because I abandoned what was important to me. And now in coming back to it, so many dots have connected. And is I always refer to it as like a portal opens up in my mind. It is like a whole new portal has opened up, and there's a new space to explore and really getting into it. In July, yeah, July, like 2 weeks, I am presenting at a emotional intelligence conference, and it is going to be the first time that I talk about this concept of healing and having a healthier relationship with yourself and moving beyond an abusive internal relationship. When we are moving from the outside in, we give up so much of our power because in order for us to get anything, someone has to make a change or something has to make a change. And we have no control over what other people do. We have no control over what the job does. Like we just don't control any of that. It just sometimes it just is what it is. Yet when it comes to ourselves, we have so much influence and power over what we can and cannot and will or will not do. And if we relinquish all of that power to the external, this is where we get into those moments of feeling trapped. And then we suffer. And then we suffer in silence. And that's what that leads to, this silent suffering. So if you find yourself in a place of silently suffering, somewhere in that suffering, you have probably relinquished your power to a person, a situation, a thing. And there's a suffering because they or it has to change in order for you to release whatever it is that's happening. And then it becomes this long waiting game. We wait and we wait and we wait and we wait and we still don't get anything. But we also take little to no agency over that thing changing. Oh, in our time together over these next few weeks, my goal is to be consistent on Sundays. people come to me a lot and I hear about the Sunday scaries, the Sunday scaries, the Sunday scaries. It usually happens in the evening on Sundays. So I was like, you know what? I want to do this channel during Sunday scary hours. Those hours where people are getting ready to dread the next day, Monday, that's coming. And when the anxiety gets really high and things get really worried, I want to be able to hold this space for people to come in and focus on internal versus external. Because when we allow ourselves to go from the inside out, we can tap into a sense of joy, a sense of peace, a sense of ease. We could tap into a sense of success at any given moment versus waiting for all the positions on the outside to be aligned in order to call ourselves at peace, in order to call ourselves successful, in order to call ourselves satisfied. It's real. It's really real. And that is where we're going to be focused. I'll come in and I'll tell some stories. I have a whole lot of stories from the years, and they are not always funny. Like some of them hurt, some of them are real. Like there are so many things that I am dealing with and working on. Actually, let me get you up to speed there. So I am in this place right now of doing a lot of work in the trauma of my own world. And it's weird how it all came together, but this is where I ended up. Actually, let me take a step back because this all started somewhere else. Back in October, I read this book called The Surrender Experiment, a guy named Michael Singer. And after I finished reading this book, I'm not sure what he wanted people to get from the book, but what I got from the book was, wow, I don't know that I've ever seen an example of someone living a surrendered life and like getting the detailed nitty gritties of their journey of surrendering. And I have been working on it. It's so interesting. Like as I deepen the relationship with myself, it has led to me also tapping into spirituality and God and deepening my understanding of, excuse me, of where I am in my spiritual pursuits. And in reading that book, I was like that's surrender? Whoa, I've never surrendered to God. Like I may have had surrendered moments, but I haven't ever like lived a surrendered life. And I said to God in that moment, I was like, hey, God, this is a real dose of humility. This book has helped me to see that I've never surrendered to you. Like I have been running and operating my life and moving it as I see fit. Uh, and I call myself a child of yours. I say that, yes, my life is a sacrifice to you, yet I've never surrendered. It was just a very interesting concept to me. And a reality check of, girl, how you gonna call yourself like, yes, I am a child of God in your life, like you've never surrendered to him? And in that moment, I said, okay, I'm about to say something that's really, really scary. One of the things I've been learning about is when you are asking something of God, how he gives you that thing is probably not going to be wrapped up in the package that you want it to be wrapped up in. If you want patience, you're not going to just all of a sudden be patient. You're going to have a lot of situations that require you to be patient. If you want wisdom, you're not going to all of a sudden be wise. You'll get all these situations in your life that is going to be the muscle builders for wisdom. So, in saying what I'm about to say, I was halfway terrified because I'm like, this is not going to be in a package that I want it to be in because that's just not how these things work. Yet, wonder kicked in. I'm like, oh, so this is what I have created so far. I wonder what would be possible if I surrendered and I see what God created and for me. And it turned into one of those moments of, well, actually, if you want somebody creating for you, you might want it to be God because he created all of this, like the trees, the ocean, all of us. Why wouldn't I want him creating for me? And I'm like, that's real. Okay, God, I have not surrendered to you in my like my life to you. I've surrendered moments to you, but not my life to you. I'm going to surrender my life to you, and I want you to show me what you got. I want to see. I want to see what you create through me when I surrender to you. Boy, that might have been one of the most courageous things I have ever done in my life because I know it's not coming in a package that I anticipated. And that was back in October 2024. Now we're in June of 2025. If I really sat here and told you all the things that have happened since that moment of God, I surrender to you, it is mind blowing. And it's also like messing with this thing of like work harder, go harder, grind, because the the grind has its timing. I think there are moments of grinding, but constantly living a lifestyle of grinding, I don't want to subscribe to that anymore. Like moments, yes, lifestyle, no. And it's interesting because I have leaned back more and slowed down more. My coach told me, Shavon, I am trying to get everyone else to speed up, and I am literally trying to get you to slow down. Your growth happens at a slower pace. Like your growth is in slowness, not in speed. And it's true. Like I have slowed down so many things in my life. And especially over these last 6 months, like I've slowed down as opposed to I need to do more, I need to go more, I need to go harder. For me, it's been all right, I need to spend some quality time in on the spiritual side of me, like the inner me, not the outer me, but like really the inner me. So this has been deep journaling. This has been for me reading the Bible. This has been taking some time, like visualizing. This has been some meditations. It has been a culmination reading, like really reading and digging deep into. I am pretty much a deep reader. Like it takes me time to read books because I read them slow, and then I create all these journaling prompts for myself as I read to further explore the titles. But it's also like challenging myself to read books in genres that I have not read before. And that has been interesting too. And as I have been on surrendering, like the challenges to step out of my comfort zone have come up. Like I'm a coach. I literally coach people to step outside of their comfort zone all the time. So I thought I was stepping outside of my comfort zone. And I was stepping out of my comfort zone, but after I had done an insane amount of planning. In my head, I'm like, if I plan, then I can step outside of my comfort zone and I'm going to execute my plan and everything's going to be fine. Do things ever go fully as I plan? Absolutely not. But somehow or another, that plan brought such a sense of comfort for me. But now I had a dilemma because I have surrendered to God. And if I'm surrendering to God, I can't be doing all the planning like I did before. So there were moments where I'm like, what does one do when they're not planning? And I will wait for the moments of, okay, so what am I supposed to do next? Like, how do I know where to go? How do I know where to move? How do I didn't know how to move without like having a plan. And then it turned into, well, my God, what am I supposed to do next? And then it'd be like, just wait. I guess I have to wait. And I'm like, well, what do I do while I wait? And it was like, well, focus on me. And I'm like, focus on you? Okay, I guess I'll like read my Bible and I guess I'll reflect on what the word said. And I'm like, do it all. I guess I'll do some journaling. And it's so crazy because opportunities kept coming. Like, oh, Shavon, we have this speaking opportunity for you. Oh, here's this contract. Oh, here's a few new clients. And I'm like, this is so weird because I just been waiting. And then it turned into, it's time for visibility. And I'm like, visible for what? Like, what we need to be visible for? We good. And it's like, no, you got to start talking now. And I'm like, I do talk every single day. I meet with my clients. We have amazing conversations. And it was like, no, you got to talk to more people. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm okay with talking. I like talking, but do I? Like, I really don't want to put myself out there. There are so many factors. People judge. They're mean. They say crazy things. Like, they're all like, what if I don't say the right thing? What the heck do I talk about? What do I focus on? That's when May came. In May, that's when I had this realization of oftentimes the most extensive abusive relationships that people stay in is the one with themselves. Of course, this does not apply to every single person, but oftentimes we have been the most abusive to ourselves. And we may have grown up in abusive situations with our parents. And when we get grown, we leave our parents and then we continue the abuse that they started. A lot of times people have been in abusive romantic relationships. And some people are still in those relationships and people get out of those relationships. And what happens? They continue a level of abuse with themselves. And if we don't learn how to be in a healthier relationship with ourselves, it really does impact not only our lives, but anyone's lives that interacts with us. And in this last month, all these things, well, since January, these things have come that have been trauma focused. Like, yes, I went to school for social work, but I didn't think that I was going to re-enter trauma learning or the trauma space since being a social worker. It started with this course that I've been taking on. It's all about the subconscious mind, understanding how trauma impacts the subconscious mind and how it impacts our thinking, our actions, and learning how to work through the trauma so that you can learn how to hack your subconscious. And it's essentially all about moving from isolation to love. And a few months later, I have to now recertify for my coaching certification and I need to take a class. I signed up to take a journaling class, journal based coaching. And the person reaches out to me and they're like, hey, we don't have enough people. And that class is not happening. So I go back to the drawing board and I'm like, oh my goodness, what class am I going to take? I only have a few weeks. I need to get ready to recertify. What shows up? A trauma-informed coaching class. I was like, trauma-informed coaching? When I came into coaching, you just refer them to a therapist and that was it. So at the same time, I've been taking these two classes on trauma. And what happens? All my trauma stuff, genie out the bottle, comes out spilling everywhere. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I don't have time for my trauma. Like, that is literally how I felt. I was like, I don't have time for all this stuff to come out the box. Not right now. There are too many things that need to be done. I don't have time to deal with this right now. And this was one of those pivotal moments of, Shavon, are you just going to do the work? Or are you going to live the work? I was like, I committed to living this work, not just doing it, but really living it. And in these last few weeks, it's like someone just came out and just laid a buffet of all my traumatic stuff in front of me. It is probably one of like the most uncomfortable that I have been in years, because all this stuff is out in front of me. And I have been questioning. I remember I was just questioning what I'm supposed to focus on. What now? What next? And it's like, you got to focus on you. Still got a lot of stuff in the trunk, in the closet that you have not dealt with. And here I go. Well, I haven't dealt with it because I haven't found a good therapist. How am I going to deal with this stuff if I don't have a good therapist? You know, I tried it on my own. I went as far as I could go, but I can't find a good therapist. What happens? I started looking for a therapist. I'm like, oh, I met with the first person. I was like, oh my gosh, that was terrible. Heck no, I am not doing this again. See, I told you I can't find a good therapist. I can't find my match. I was like, all right, let me try one more person. I tried this next person. Within 5 minutes, I was like, I found my match. Now I have to do the work for real. And that's what I've been doing. Like, I've been really doing the work. And I think there are many things hitting me right now. But one of the things that's hitting me the hardest is something I've known about myself, but not something that I've actually dealt with about myself. And that's real. So many of us know things about ourselves, but we kind of just make it like, oh yeah, that's me. That's just what you get. Like, if you want to be around me, you kind of got, that's just the side effects of me. Deal with it. And there's a difference between having other people dealing with the side effects of you and working out your stuff so that people don't have to deal with those side effects. For me, my biggest one right now is conditional relationships. I don't know all of how I got to this point. It's probably a combination of growing up in New York, my parents, my community, me, all of it. A combination of all that I ended up in a place where relationships are conditional. I treat them as such. And in living in conditional relationships, that mindset, it has limited me in so many ways. And one of the biggest ways is I cut people out of my life. Like, I will leave before you leave. If I stop seeing the benefits, I'm like, oh, all right, it was so great knowing you. I appreciate the time we had together. Maybe I'll see you in another lifetime. And then I go on about my business like nothing has happened. And that's not healthy, one. And it's built off of trauma, like my trauma stuff that I haven't dealt with. And coming into this place of, so I'm going to have to learn how to unconditionally love. I was ready to close the chapter right there. I'm like, you know what, God, I know back in October I said, show me what you got, but I didn't realize it was going to mean like practicing and living unconditional love. Do you know the chances of me getting hurt in unconditional love? Like, they are sky high. I do not want to go through all that pain of relationships and this and that. Like, I'd rather walk away. It's so much easier to walk away. And in the moment, it's easier to walk away, but down the line, it's not. It's not healthy, because it's one thing to walk away from a person that has entered your life, been in your life for a few years. But what happens when it's your kid? What happens when it's your spouse? What happens when it's people that are significant in your life that you actually do want to be in your life? Your parents, your cousins, even friends. And going down this journey of unconditional love, like I went to the external relationships. Like, yeah, like I need to know what's in it for me, and I want you to clarify what's in it for you, and then we decide if we want to do this or not. And then we go on about our business. If we done doing, if we come up with another idea of what we want to do together, then we do that. Like, that is how I have operated so often in life. Like, okay, what are you bringing to the table? What am I bringing to the table? Do we want to do this? And it's not really funny, but I laugh because in order to keep myself safe, I made sense of this. Like, it is not how things work, things operate. Like, coming from just constantly doing conditional relationships everywhere in my life. And the dog comes at perfect time to remind me of a story. We had a dog breeding business, and we did it. I don't know if it was a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know how long it was. Felt like forever. And my husband came home one day like, we're going to breed dogs. And we're both entrepreneurial. So there's always an idea in the house and always something we're about to do. And we started this dog breeding company. Oh my gosh. That is a hard business. Like, all hats go off to all the dog breeders out there. Like, it is a business, like, oh, so much work. So much work. So We do this dog breeding business. We end up shutting it down. We moved into a new house, and my rule was no dogs. I want no dogs here. Like, let's get all the dogs homed, rehomed, so that they can be with their forever homes. I want no dogs in this house. Within months, was it around October? It could have been around October when I said this whole surrender thing. I didn't connect that dot then. I started having a strong desire to get a dog. And I'm in this internal conversation with myself, like, I don't want a dog. I don't know where this is coming from. It is false. Whatever it is, we need to shut it down now because I don't want a freaking dog. I don't want the responsibility of a dog. I don't want to deal with a dog. No dogs. I'm done with dogs. And the intensity of this desire got stronger and stronger. I tried to push it out of my mind. It came stronger back in my mind. One day I had to journal about this. Like, why do I want a dog? And I was like, I don't want a dog. Like, I know I don't want a dog. And then it turned into, but something's telling me to get a dog. I'm like, how am I going to explain this to Kyle, my husband? I made him get rid of all these dogs. I made the kids get rid of the dogs. They want to keep one dog. I was like, no dogs. And now I'm talking about a dog? Like, how do I explain this to my family? And here's the thing, right? The people in my household are pretty logical operating for the most part. They use a good amount of logic. And this dog has no logic behind it. I can't even defend beyond, I have this strong feeling that I need to get a dog. Like, that's all I had. So listen, some of the things I do, I really just advise, don't follow me because it is not a smart move. I didn't know any better at the time. So I started looking up dogs. And I'm like, all right, I don't want no dog hair. How do I not have dog hair? Oh, hypoallergenic. Okay, that narrowed down the search. And I'm like, I really don't want a dog. Okay, I definitely don't want a big dog because if I travel, where's the big dog gonna go? All right, small dog. I landed on a golden doodle, a mini golden doodle. Then I learned there were micro golden doodles, and I'm like, I think this is it. So I start looking for micro golden doodles. They don't tend to shed, very family oriented with dogs. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'm looking on these websites looking for a dog. I'm like, I don't want to spend my money on this. Like, I don't want a dog. But obedience. I said I was going to surrender. This sensation of a dog is coming up. So I went with it. Before I got the dog, I started thinking about names. I'm like, what the heck am I going to name this dog? I don't know what I'm going to name this dog. Randomly, I'm driving one day and the word coda comes in my head. I'm like, coda? What the heck does coda mean? I'm big on meanings of names. Before I name my kids, I'm like, I need to know what this name means because I want to make sure that their name is a representation of what I want them to be in this world. So I looked up coda and it meant friend. And I was like, oh, so God, you try to tell me I need a friend? I mean, moving so much has made friendships difficult, but like a dog, like what am I going to do with a dog? Can I get a human friend instead? Whatever. I was obedient, people. I got the dog and I flew to Pennsylvania to get the dog. And I came home with a dog. My husband may have not talked to me for about 2 weeks. And I didn't force talking to him because I couldn't explain myself. I could not tell him that I had this feeling that I had to get a dog. So I got the dog. That would have not clicked for his very logical brain. So I decided not to defend myself. And if anyone knows me, you know, I will defend myself by any means necessary. I didn't defend myself. I had no defenses. I had no ammo, no weapons. I had nothing. All I had was a feeling, and that wasn't going to win the war. So I just sucked it up and waited until my husband decided to start talking to me again because I couldn't explain his dog. He didn't want nothing to do with the dog. We fast forward months later. Everyone loves a dog. It's about a year, actually. Everyone loves a dog. It's fine. Like, dog is good. It's going good. Oh, so that means, wait, I didn't get the dog in October. The dog was in that February I got the dog. Okay, February 2024, I got the dog. Time lapse. All right, so that's where the dog comes in. What do dogs represent? Unconditional love. The dog was a signal of where I was having to head. And let me tell you, this dog is like shows so much unconditional love, it's ridiculous. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want anything to do with you right now. Like, give me a break. Leave me alone. Like, I just hugged you. I just cuddled you. Like, isn't that enough already? Leave me alone. Nope, dog keeps coming. Dog keeps licking me. Dog keeps coming around me. The dog has bonded to me. Do you know I have tried to get this dog like, no, this, you go to the kids. Please bond to any one of them, but not to me. That dog is so bonded to me, it's not even funny. I'm just like, why'd you bond to me? I didn't even know dogs bonded like this. You could have chose one of the kids. But whatever. The dog is a reminder, well, one, it foreshadowed that I was going down this road to unconditional love. Didn't see that coming. And now it is a constant reminder of unconditional love. And over these last few weeks, I've had to deal a lot with unforgiveness, like things that I have been holding on to and unwilling to let go of. And here comes the dog. Like it just keeps coming around. And I'm like, gosh, is that what unconditional love is? Like, how are people safe in unconditional love? And it's hard. Like last week may have been one of the hardest times of my life because all my traumas were out there. I wanted to do some conditional loving, but I was practicing unconditional love. And then I had to learn about what the heck is unconditional love. I skipped this lesson on purpose. And what has really stood out to me is that I have not only conditionally loved others, I have also conditionally loved myself. And that was like so I have been doing this to keep myself safe from other people. But what explains me doing it in relationship with myself? And I think it goes back to this reminder that from the inside out, what we do on the inside is typically what we do on the outside in relationships. So if I don't ever get to a place of learning how to unconditionally love myself, how will I ever get to a place of learning how to unconditionally love others? I have to start from within, loving me. So often I'm like, oh, yes, you can rest once you do these 50 things, then you're allowed to rest. But I'm tired. No, do the 50 things. Conditionally loving myself. It's okay for me to be tired. It's okay for me to save some of the work for the next day, but I don't. I'll force myself through it. Another example of conditionally loving myself is, hey, you can't, I think it's a lot around working. Like you can't do this thing until you finish that thing and then you could have it. It's interesting, like once you start like taking a look back to seeing, even when it comes to reading books, I'm like, no, you can't start another book until you finish this book. And it's like, why can't I read several books at one time? I can read several books at one time, but I'm trying to make myself, no, do it this way, do it that way, do it this way. I'm like bullying myself into doing things in a rigid way. And I think that's where that conditional love comes in, because it's like it's there are rules and ways of doing it, and there's a sense of rigidity to it that doesn't have to exist in the way that I'm operating with myself and others, and trying to maintain this level of control and keeping everything structured and in order. And yes, that has its place, but it doesn't necessarily have to happen everywhere in my life all the time. It's actually exhausting to be constantly trying to keep everything under control. That's why I've keep going through these moments. I'm so exhausted. Yes, because you're trying to hold everything together. It's not meant for you to hold everything together. That is not your job to hold everything together. That's where I am, people. In this place of learning to what unconditional love is, how to apply that to myself in relationship with me, how to apply that in relationship with others. I don't think it's a one and done where it's like, oh, I know how to do it. Now let me checklist it. I think seeing all of my trauma splattered out all in front of me is an act of unconditional love for me to do the work, to work through them versus sweeping them all back in the closet, under the rug, wherever they fit. Me being willing to face them head on this time and process them is an act of unconditional love for me right now. And as hard as it is, like it has been tears, it has been like just so much sobbing and crying from facing my traumas head on. Like really, really hard work. But this is all in the name of me having a healthier relationship with me. My life is going to be lighter. It is going to come with a higher sense of ease as I allow myself to work through it, process it so that it can be laid to rest versus me making decisions based off my traumas and my traumas still having so much power over me in my decision making today, even though they happened all these years ago. I have to learn how to release that stuff in order to actually live the life that is like in alignment for me. And I told y'all, like when you say you want something, it doesn't come in the wrapper that you want it to come in. And for me, this is one of the wrappers where I was like, seriously, trauma, we have to go there. We left social work for a reason. I don't want to go down the trauma road again. But it's what's necessary. Why exactly? I don't know. I'm going to find out. As I find out, I will let you all know. So, as we get ready to wrap today, something I want you to keep in mind is that some of the things that are happening to you are to groom you for what you said you wanted. Whether you asked for it last year, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you ask for something that is requiring the test that you're going through, the struggle that you're going through. It is building something in you that's necessary in order for you to gain whatever it is that you ask for. Because if we all got what we asked for right now without the development that comes with it, we wouldn't be able to maintain it. It may hurt us. For some of us, it might kill us. So instead of just being given what we asked for in the time frame that we're asked for, we're being molded and developed for it. And the lessons are hard. They are tough. Like growth is one of the most difficult things that one can really do. Like it is difficult to be in a mindset of growth, a state of growth, because it makes you focus on you. It makes you do work. It makes you focus on how you're showing up, how you're treating other people, how you're treating yourselves. And here we're really going to focus on growth from the inside out and having that internal alignment and being in that alignment versus trying to get aligned from the outside. Because what is here today on the outside can change tomorrow. Industries are coming in and out, people come and go, home situations, whatever it is, kids grow up. But when it's all said and done, you're going to be with you. And when you have you want it to be healthy. I want it to be healthy for me. I want it to be healthy for you. So as we go on this journey together, know that I'm just as human as you. And this growth thing is not, it's hard. It's easier to be ignorant. It really, when they say ignorance is bliss, there is a high level of truth to that. There are some things where I'm like, I kind of wish I didn't know this right now because I wouldn't have to do anything about it and I could go on about my merry-go business. But I have this information, I have this knowledge, I have this new understanding, and to whom much is given, much is required. And right now I'm in the phase of it is required of me to really begin working through my traumas that I have swept up under the rug. I will keep you posted on how all of this is going in the coming weeks. What I'll be doing is looking for the themes, what comes up in sessions throughout the week with my clients. When something comes up 3 times in a day, in a week, I'm like, oh, there's a message here for me. All of my clients are showing me me. And especially when something comes up 3 times, I usually do some reflection around it to see what's here for me. And that's what I'll be doing. I'll be collecting what's coming up, what are the themes coming into this space, the process, how does that relate to me? How does it show up? What is this lesson trying to teach me? And that's how it is when you are building a relationship with yourself. It's similar to dating. You ask a whole lot of questions. You want to know everything, spend a whole lot of quality time together. And that's part of the inner work, like dating ourselves. Some of us have not ever really dated ourselves. Some of us are not friends with ourselves. Like the way we treat ourselves is not how we would treat a friend, not how we would treat a loved one. And we do it to ourselves. And we've excused it in so many ways. Oh, you're your hardest critic. Yes, you're your hardest critic, but that doesn't mean be a bully. That doesn't mean be abusive. It's one thing to criticize, it's another thing to bully and abuse yourself. And that's where we want to start clearing up that line between, have you crossed the line of abuse within yourself? Have you crossed the line of bullying yourself, and making sure that you could give yourself feedback, you could give yourself criticism, you could see your areas of growth and where you need to work on, but that does not have to mean that you are abusing yourself or bullying yourself. And that's what we really want to work on, is get in that change, like get into that place of like being healthy as you give yourself feedback, being willing to notice your growth, being willing to notice when you're setting unrealistic expectations for yourself. Like me, it was unrealistic to believe that I was going to get through all of my life with conditional relationships. That's a recipe for being alone. I would be like 65 and alone, because at some point, somebody's going to break their agreement, mess up their agreement, and I'm going to have to X them out of my life. And I keep doing all this Xing, I will literally be alone. Actually, I will have to X myself out, because I will break my agreements to myself. So remember, growth is not easy. It is difficult, but when you're doing it in partnership with other people, it becomes a lot more possible. If you like this content, remember to subscribe. We're here to be real. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear your journeys. When it comes to trauma, what have you swept up under the rug and not dealt with for years, but it's oozing out in its own way? Really take a look. A lot of times we think we've done a good job sweeping it under the rug or locking it away in a closet, but it's finding a way to show up in your relationships. It's finding a way to show up in work. It's finding a way to show up in how you treat yourself. And that trauma, it seeps out. No matter how good you think that you have packed it away, it is showing up somewhere, somehow, probably in more ways than you ever imagined. It is showing up. And it's time to really allow yourself to have the courage to begin to do the work. It takes courage to do the work. It takes unconditional love to do the work, because we see things about ourselves that we're like, not me. Yes, you. Yes, you. You have that stuff that needs to be cleaned up. I have that stuff that needs to be cleaned up. And we're going to do the work here. And part of that work is like connecting with your therapist so that you can take care of the past stuff, so that we could go into the future of ourselves a lot healthier than we've ever been. Until next time, I shall see you all next Sunday. Take care.